coming in hot. She's going to be a good one today, man. What's going on?
Coming in super hot with, I think, somebody whose family were actually Sean Casey's fans growing up.
We'll have to ask about that. Dude, for me, man, I met this guy back when he was just breaking into baseball, did a thing with the network back when he was with the Padres. 11 years now has passed. I don't know where time goes, but 11 years has passed. One of the best catchers probably of all time. You go back and look at the numbers, and when we look back at his career, he'll be one of the best catchers of all time. World Series champ 2023 with the Rangers, has had an incredible career, currently with the Guardians. But let's bring in our man, Austin Hedges. Hedgie, what's up, dude?
Oh, man, what an intro. Thanks, Case. That was awesome.
Hey, man, I only speaking facts, dude. Only speaking facts. Dude, right now, I kind of want to throw it out there, like, how's everything going with you guys? You know, the season's just getting going. Obviously, it's Voter's second year. He's one of my favorite dudes, too. You guys are paralleled. I mean, great clubhouse guys, some great catchers in the game. You know, how's everything going with you guys so far this season? And also, man, your relationship with Voter, how has that come? Because I almost feel like you're another coach there, too, with your experience.
Yeah, I mean, I love Cleveland, man. Getting traded from San Diego, in 2020 was one of the biggest blessings I've ever had for being a part of an organization that just they treat everybody so well, but they treat me really well. And so just coming back with that group, of all the special things that we did last year, felt like we were kind of like off to a bit of a slow start where. I think a lot of young guys that got some playoff experience for the first time, and then the season comes in, and you got to remember that it's time to get back to it, and this is go mode from the get go, and so it's a little slow, but I feel like once we had a really long road trip to start the year. Once we went back home to Cleveland, I felt like we found our groove, and I was just talking with some of the boys yesterday. It kind of felt like, okay, here we go, like. There's a flow to it now. Not even necessarily like how we're playing or wins and losses, just the feeling you have in the clubhouse and the dugout on the field, just the vibes are starting to really flow and make sense to us, where I think our identity is going to keep coming into the forefront, where we know exactly who we are.
Awesome, man. And also, you have a lot of really good young players and a lot of, a lot of good veterans too that are on that team. When you go back to that playoff push last year, because you got such a good team, your bullpen was lights out. Jose Ramirez. Obviously, you have that star in the middle of your lineup. Quan at the top. So many good players there. Do you think that experience? What was that experience like for you? Obviously, you've already been to the postseason, won a world championship. But talking to younger players, I always felt like when you talk to younger players that haven't necessarily been there, the postseason's a different animal, and what was some of your advice to some of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think the nice thing of what the boys bought into last year was, we talked about from the beginning of spring and into the season, every game's a must win. And the reason we treat it that way is so there's nothing changes in the postseason. So from day one of the season, this is a must win playoff game. I don't care how we do it. I don't care if it's ugly. I don't care if we kick someone's butt. It doesn't matter, but we're preparing for every game being the most important game of the year so that when we get to the playoffs, now we're ready. Now we almost have 162 practice games. They matter. Don't get me wrong. They matter. They're not practice games, but in a way it is, where it's like we've done this so many times where just because it's a playoff game, it doesn't matter anymore because we already know like today's a must-win game. And the boys really bought into that last year. And I think that's one of the reasons we found a way to win so many close ball games. Obviously, good bullpen, but it was just like it didn't matter. If we're up or down late in the game, we truly used all 9 innings, all 27 outs every single game. And now I think all those guys that had that little bit of playoff experience, well, kind of a deep run, is like now going into this year, it's like, okay, we've been there. Now how do we win 3 more games in the ALCS and then another 4 to for ultimate glory?
I love that, dude. You said something in one of the interviews I was looking at. I think it was with Rosie. He's one of our Cleveland guys. You're a great guy. You guys have a great relationship, Chris Rose. And you said something that I love. You talking about playing 162. Sometimes you can get the motivation monkey here and there. Hey, we're gonna come out of spring training. Let's go. We got this. And then when you're about a month into the year, you're like, oh my God, we have 130 games to go. Like, yeah, the motivation monkey kind of dies off. And you said something like, we got to lock into discipline. You got to be disciplined in what you do. Can you explain what that means, when you talk to guys? But we got to lock into discipline and not just this motivation thing.
Yeah, that's I've read a lot of books and stuff in my life about trying to help me survive this beast of baseball that is just it's so difficult. So some of my favorite people to read about or listen to are military guys. So Jocko Willink, amazing guy. He talks about, discipline equals freedom. And so he talks about discipline over motivation. Everybody's got that day, you got your New Year's resolution. I'm gonna do this, and I do it for a day, maybe a week, maybe even a month. But it's the days that I don't want to do it. And let's be honest, it's like I think most days you don't want to do those things that you know you have to do. But it's like I'm gonna do it anyways. So it's like use the motivation that's like, this is great. I got the motivation today. That's nice. That's a blessing. I'm going to use that. So today's going to be a bit easier than the other days, but I know tomorrow is probably going to suck. And I have to do the things that I've told myself I'm going to do no matter what. And then when I look up after just repping that out day after day, that's to me, that's mental toughness. It's like, it's not about the big pressure moment. It's about all the little things behind the scenes that you decided to do, especially when you didn't want to do it.
I love that, dude. I love that. Mastering I call it mastering the mundane, man. If you can master the mundane, especially in this industry, you're going to have success. That doesn't mean you're going to go 4 for 4. It doesn't mean you're going to get hits. It doesn't mean any of that stuff. But it means those routines and you master the mundane over time, the consistency shows up over 162. Guy, I love that, man. I love that. I want to go into a little dude. I really, you've been around in this game a long time because you're the best at at doing what you do. And I think it's especially save and run, pitch framing, all the things that you do. You're elite. You talk about WAR. I think in the last 15 years, we really got into some different stats. I think in Austin Hedges, all of a sudden you go, oh, this guy's doing what he's doing every night. He's winning us games, really, because the ball's always in the pitcher's and the catcher's hands. There's so much going on with that relationship. Can you talk about a couple things I want to talk about? First off, the ABS system that was put in a little bit in spring training. I don't know I'm sure you had a couple experiences with some of the places. For a guy like you, that's such a great pitch framer. What do you think about the ABS system? Is it good for the game, but also for the art of catching? Does it start to take away that art of catching if you have this system?
Yeah, that's a real tough question. I feel like every position, whether I think pitchers, catchers, and position players are all going to have three different opinions on whether they like it or not. Guys that are position players probably are dying for some type of ABS, shrink the zone a little bit. Pitchers probably don't like it unless catchers, if you can receive. It's kind of taken away a bit of a skill set that a lot of guys have worked really, really hard at for a
Right.
really long time. So the only thing that I don't like about it is that part is like I know myself and I know every catcher I've ever talked to, we do as much receiving work as anybody works on anything in their life, and it's something that is very difficult, and it's a really hard trained skill. But for me, I think in a perfect world, we just get rid of the box on the TV. You just get rid of the box on the TV, and no one knows. First of all, that box on the television is not what's going to be used on ABS until they implement that. This is just kind of a random box, so you're looking at it as a fan and thinking, okay, this is a ball, this is a strike. Well, there's different camera angles. There's different boxes if you're watching on Fox and TBS and Apple and ESPN. It's kind of inconsistent, and it's too bad because what it's doing is making everybody have this like just random strike zone that no one really knows what it is except for what the box tells you.
Right.
You go back to games, I don't know, not really that long ago. I'm talking probably 2017, 18. There's not a box on there, and pitches either look like strikes or they don't, based off of was it executed? Did the catcher catch it well? And that was kind of what balls and strikes were for forever. And I think there'd be a lot less complaining and a lot less media attention on how umpires are doing if that box wasn't there. That being said, there is a box there. Everyone's got an opinion on social media, and they got to take that seriously because we're trying to grow the game of baseball, and I am definitely for that. One of my, biggest goals in life is to help grow the game, is to pass it on to the younger generation. And if the ABS system makes it a better game, makes people more interested, makes it more consistent. If those are a reality and that is a thing, then I'd be all for it. I know it would kind of take away a bit of my own skill set, but as long as it's going to make the game better, I don't want to just. We do a lot of changes in baseball, a lot of changes. I don't know any other sport that is just we're changing rules every year. Like it's kind of crazy how many rules and how many things we're changing this game that was pretty perfect the way that it was made 150 years ago. But once again, there are some rules that make the game better. Some people don't like the pitch clock. I kind of like getting home before midnight sometimes, but
Yeah, right.
but at the same time, there's there's ebbs and flows to everything. We'll have to see. It wasn't very clean in spring training. I didn't think the ABS system. So there's definitely room for improvement. But if it makes the game more consistent and the fans like it, then honestly, that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, yeah. Because I do think you're right, man. The reason that you're an elite catcher is you do things that other guys don't do. So you should be rewarded for that. And if ABS takes away that, then yeah, I don't like that. But you're right. I guess we'll have to see, what it looks like. Dude, for you, Hedgie, well, first off, you talk about the rules. Did you ever like the catcher rule of the play at the plate? I think that one is one of the ones that's so vague. Like, is he blocking the plate? Is he blocking it late? And then also, did you for all the years you played catcher, did you like the contact at the plate ever, or were you like, I'm glad that was taken out, that I can't get trucked
Um,
last second?
that one's kind of yes and no. Definitely back in the day, I had my fair share of getting ran over by some guys, and it's not very fun. And then you see, a thing that like what happened to Buster Posey, like that's not good for the game to have one of the best players of all time missing a season. So it's like things like that. Like I'm in on that. I like the physicality of baseball, but also the fans need to see the best product on the field. The whole blocking the base situation, really, in all the bases now, is just it's not a clean enough description of what it is. Where it should be these rules should be implemented for the clear and obvious. There are times where everyone in the whole world, no matter where you're standing, if you're watching on TV, if you're at the game, someone's blocking when they shouldn't have been. They don't have the ball. They're getting in the way of the runner. The one that is just a baseball play, that's just a baseball play. That's part of the game. Let's just let the game happen. So there's, I don't know. It's like I feel like there's been a handful of calls over the past handful of years that it was a baseball play. Let's just let it happen. And then there's the clear and obvious. Were you blocking the base without the ball? The runner had to try and avoid you. Yeah, we can call that. But that's
Right.
also been a rule for forever. You couldn't do that, 50 years ago. Let's just
Right.
so I don't know. It'd be nice. It's tough in baseball because when you put a rule in, there's so many nuances to it where it's not just this exact defined thing. I like the physicality of it, but also I do like the health of the catcher.
Yeah, yeah. You don't like getting an elbow to the chin last second, just boom. I know some guys did like the contact, but I also agree with you. Like having a guy like Buster Posey missing a whole season isn't good for the game of baseball, and you can avoid, just sometimes these guys coming there looking to just truck you last second, which is never a good thing. I want to go back. I want to talk to you a little bit about, when I got back in the dugout in 2023 with the Yankees, I was fascinated by how many meetings there are now. I feel like the catcher's meeting with the starting pitcher. That's not new, but like the bullpen guys. I know for us doing the hitters meetings every day, going over the starter, maybe a couple relievers that were going to come in big leverage situations or whatever. I want to pick your brain, man, about that meeting and about maybe facing certain guys. Can you take us into what that meeting's like with the catcher pitcher relationship? And then also, how do you play? Let's go right to like, how did you game plan for a matchup like a Judge Soto last year with the Yankees? Who are you pitching to? All that kind of stuff.
Oh, I love this. Okay. So for me, meetings win ball games. It's as simple as that. Nobody really wants to do it. It's a bit tedious. We play a long year, a long season, and if you do things right, you're going to have 162 to 180 some meetings just on the hitter side or the pitcher side. So if you're a catcher,
Yeah.
you got a lot of meetings and it's an everyday thing. And the thing about them is if you go in and you care about them, you now have just a little edge on something that might show up in one situation that wins you that ball game. Because a lot of times what happens when you do that is that one little moment isn't just one moment. That now is like now that keeps going, that amplifies. That's like it's like an exponential thing where this one little thing happens and now that other team knows that that happened. Now they're adjusting and now chaos kind of starts from just them knowing, oh my gosh, they're so much more prepared than us in this one little thing. So I mean, with us in Cleveland, we have like day one of a series, we got we have four catchers meetings, we got a base running meeting, a defense meeting, and a hitters meeting. That's just day one, and then the other days are a little bit less, but there's still going to be a pitcher's meeting and a catcher and a hitter's meeting to go over like how are we going to do one thing specifically that we can all buy into? Because let's be honest, it's as much of a team sport as it is. It's an individual sport. No one's helping you in the batter's box. There's no offensive coordinator drawing a route for you to get you open. You got to go in there with your plan, and you got to be ready. And ideally, you and your eight brothers are all doing something that's at least going to make this pitcher have a tough time and have to give in and give you a mistake, right? But from the catching perspective, so the way that we do it here, I really like our flow where day one of a series, myself and Bo and David Fry, when he's around, we meet together, just the three of us, and we watch everything that we need to watch and we make our scouting report. We then go into the coaches' room who have done all of their work and we all discuss everything that we've seen on every single hitter. Then we come together and we formulate our group scouting report. We then deliver that to the relievers. We then deliver that to the starter for the day and then the next day each starter, but there's a flow to so every single guy is on the same page and everybody is working and it's not just one guy's opinion, it's a group effort but also done individually, so we're not all doing our initial work together because we don't want any biases or sometimes a guy will be like, okay, well, if voter says something, I got to listen to what voter says. That's the manager. That's the experienced catcher. Like he really knows what he's seeing. But that can even get in the way. That can get in the way of something that maybe me or Bo will see, just because we respect voter. So it's like we see what we see on our own terms, and then we have the discussion, and then maybe voter was right, or maybe we were more right, and then voter has enough humility to be like, I like that, or the pitching coach will be like, I like that, and we come together, and now it's just more conviction. And by the time we deliver it to the pitchers, it's like, hey, all of us, we've watched this much video, we've seen all these numbers, we know your guys' strengths. This is what we're going to do. And if it doesn't work, we're going to be the first ones to make an adjustment. But this is our attack plan that we have a ton of conviction and confidence in. And I think it's one of the reasons why Cleveland has been a really good pitching staff for a long time, because of the clarity, the work, and the delegation that goes on in those meetings.
Dude, this is fascinating stuff. Now here's the other question. When you're breaking down a pitcher, hey man, this guy, he doesn't attack that inside part of the plate well. You got to look out. I would be like, okay, I'm going to push this guy, push him up, push him out. Like a guy like Greg Maddux would try and throw that two-seamer right at you, with two strikes, and that was when he came there. And I know as a hitter, I would always think to myself, okay, I got to play to my strengths. This guy might be legit doing this stuff, but I got to play to my strengths of hunting the fastball, getting him up and out, trying to go to left center, reacting in. When you're doing that pitcher's meeting, are you pitching to the strengths of the pitcher, or are you comboing that with, man, this hitter doesn't do well here, but let's see if we can pound him there, even if it's not a strength of that pitcher?
Always leaning on the strength of the pitcher. So when we're delivering the meeting to the relievers, that's going to be like in general, this guy versus a righty, this guy versus a lefty in general, and we're just talking about the things that matter. I think like a bad meeting, if I went up to a pitcher and was like, all right, we got down and away, up and in, backdoor slider, back foot slider. You can dump a curveball behind. You can throw a changeup, 2 strikes. You can go below with your fast. Like, what? Like, okay, yeah, duh. But it's like, no, I'm going to go in and be like, we're spinning this dude. We're going hard on this dude. We're pitching backwards on this guy. We're trying to keep it pretty simple of just an attack plan because when you know, I got Hunter Gaddis coming in who's going to rip slider, fastball, changeup. Then I got Clase coming in who's going to throw cutters. And I got Seawald who's going to throw an upshoot fastball with a more on plane slider. Like those are completely different pitches. So when I call slider, not all sliders, fastballs, changeups are created equal. These are different pitches. So it's like in general, what am I going to do to this guy? It's basically what does this hitter want, and how can based off of what that guy wants and then into my pitcher's strengths, how can I attack that so I know my pitcher has confidence going out with what he does well, and then also we're not just giving in to what this hitter's really looking for. So the starters then is going to be a little bit different, where that's going to be a more deep dive on that guy specifically, this pitcher's stuff. So it's like, a guy might really struggle with slider, but my guy's slider is kind of into this guy's bat speed today. So it's like, I know in general, I look at these numbers, sliders looks like it's the best option. I think we got to be smart with it. We got to really make him respect the heater first. Slider's going to play, but I got to throw a handful of heaters to make him sped up first before I go to it.
So good, dude.
Sorry.
So good. How has since you broke in 2015? How's the game changed, especially at the
Oh
pitching
my
level?
gosh, man.
Or
And
is
it's
it
so
that
different,
different?
man. I mean, I remember when pitchers used to throw 91, man. I mean, I'm not that old, but a good fastball in the
Right.
big leagues was 91, and now that's a slider or a changeup. And so, I mean, just the evolution of baseball is absolutely insane. Just from both a hitter and catcher perspective, it's the one thing that I don't like about where it's going. The game is trying to develop throwers and not pitchers. And that's the one thing that
Right.
all of these guys that all throw hard have wipeout stuff. They go to their drive line, their pitching coaches to learn how to make their stuff nasty, and I love that. You got to have nasty stuff to be in the big leagues. But the most boring down and away fastball, the most boring executed slider is going to get almost every single hitter out. And execution over
Right.
anything is what I'm trying to preach to all of our pitchers, because they're all so good. If you are in the big leagues, you are nasty. You did it already. You've earned that type of stuff. You have big league stuff. Now put it where you want to and train that way. So the one difference is pitchers used to really only train on executing pitches, because that's really all you had. It's not like there was all these rapsodos and metrics that were going to show you all these little numbers on what your pitches are doing. It was just, well, did you throw it down and away? No, that ball leaked middle away. Middle away is getting whacked. Down and away is going to be an out. So it's like trying to combine this new stuff velo world we live in with truly executing pitches and knowing that execution over anything is what's going to get the hitters out.
Wow, I love the phrase "complexity is the enemy of execution." You're trying to throw this nasty cutter, this nasty. How about just give me the down and away four seamer, or give me something that is a strike pitch right where it needs to be. One of the biggest things I've noticed in the last few years, and I actually couldn't believe it when I was breaking down the game film with the Yankees. I'm surprised how many catchers set up right down the middle. Is that becoming a thing? And also, have you bought into that? I think, what are they talking about? Tunneling? We just want guys to tunnel, throw it right down the middle, and let their ball work for them. And I might be crazy, and I know the stuff's better, but when I was scouting and doing my scouting reports, more guys were missing middle than I've ever seen. I was like, that ball's right down the middle. That ball's right down the middle. Am I wrong? Am I wrong by saying that? And do you believe, as one of the best catchers this game's ever seen, in just setting up right down the middle?
So yes and no. In my heart, I hate it, but now I'm out there catching, and it's a big league game against a big league hitter with my pitcher on the mound who doesn't necessarily command the ball very well. Now I'm doing him a disservice by setting up on the edges. by giving a down and away target, an up and in target. This guy that right now in his career isn't necessarily going to get to that spot. So I need to, for me, like it goes in this order of what I'm trying to avoid when I'm catching is free bases and then extra bases. So walks and slug. You eliminate that. You hold the teams to singles. No teams these days are going to single you to death. It takes at least 3 of them to score a run, probably 4 a lot of times. So first thing, I'm trying to eliminate walks. So I can't let you have free bases. So in that sense, with certain guys that aren't going to be executing as well, I probably got to give some type of visual, with a lot of room for error over the plate, because the other idea is usually these guys that don't command the ball that well, their stuff is so nasty where, like you said, you can get away with that fastball down the middle because guys are riding balls, that like they call it ride, but it's a rise ball. These four seamers
Yeah.
these days are truly optical illusions. You get a four seam right down the middle at 96 miles an hour. If you do not try and swing over it, you will swing under it. That's just the reality. These pitches are spinning so fast and they're riding so much that you either got to swing down, over it, something. You have to take an outlier swing for this optical illusion. Other pitches, in general, like your normal pitches, are doing what they're supposed to, and you just take your swing. But these pitches that are these seam shifters and all these crazy things these pitchers are doing, you have to swing in a place where it doesn't make sense to you just to hit it. So with guys like that I have that really good ride on a four seam, a lot of guys I can set up down the middle and I'm going to get a bunch of swings and misses and at least be able to set up, some type of off speed pitch below the zone off of it. So there's a tunneling aspect. But I'd also I'm like, well, if you have this pitch that you can throw by guys down the middle, what do you think your ERA would be if you could throw it to the quadrants that, executing pitches? I mean, you'd never give up a run.
Back that up though, Austin. I'm looking at your roster right now. You got a lot of guys born in the late 1999, 2000s. Like, how much of it? How much do you have to be a shrink sometimes to some of these guys? How much psychological trust me, trust Uncle Austin or whatever? How do you?
It's one of my favorite things, man. It's one of my favorite things about what I get to do is knowing how freaking hard it was for me, especially as a young player. I mean, I didn't feel like I belonged in the big leagues until maybe year 3 or 4. Like it was a grind, and the self doubt, the failure, being a public figure and failing on a public stage, like it's really really hard, and all the work that I had to do to overcome, all the work I'm still doing to overcome that, I know is so hard. And one of the realizations I had maybe year 4 or 5 of my career was pretty much whatever I'm going through. There's a really really good chance that every single other big leaguer is going through the exact same thing, just in their own way. And so I'm like, okay, if I was feeling this type of pressure to fit in with the boys, to belong in the big leagues, at this point in my career, I know how far some words of positivity can go, and I kind of know what words really resonated with me. So it's not like I'm some wizard or anything that comes up with these things. Like I know what I want to hear, and so I'm gonna kind of pass that on. And as I started doing that, guys started like really resonating with that, and it started hitting home. And you could see that exhale that everything is gonna be okay. I just got to keep going. I just got to keep getting a little bit better, but I know I belong. I know at least Austin Hedges believes in me. And I look around and I see Stephen Vogt believes in me and my teammates believe in me. Maybe I can believe in myself a little bit. And and I'm seeing like one thing we do so well here in Cleveland is our young guys thrive. And I tell every one of them, it's like, I don't care if you're Carlos Santana with 20 years in the show or you're a guy with 1 day in the show. We need you today to help us win this ball game. And if there's anything I can do to help make you feel comfortable and confident so we can go win, that's all that matters. And our group really, really responds well to that. And like I said, it's one of my favorite things to be able to do because I wish I had more of that when I was a young kid too.
Dude, that's what I mean. Obviously, that your reputation, precedes yourself as far as like being a leader. I always say being a leader is how you treat people. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Make them feel comfortable. As a young kid, we're all uncomfortable in the big leagues, and we're trying to figure out: do we belong? Are we good enough? Everyone's telling you stink. At times, and to have teammates that are like, "You're good, man. Just keep going. Keep grinding." things eventually turn. I love that, man, and obviously that's another big reason why you've had such a great career. I want to touch on a couple of your teammates because you've had a chance to play with a lot of great players. Who are some of the best players that you've played with that you're like, man, that guy's going to maybe be in Cooperstown one day? And I also want to talk about Jose Ramirez, J Ram, just watching that guy day in and day out, almost got 40 last year, I think. And just doing some of the things on that field that, I think sometimes he slides under the radar as a
I mean,
superstar.
he's about as good of a player as I've ever played with. I mean, he's the first name that comes to mind. That's a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's as good as it gets on a daily basis. I don't think there's a harder at bat in the big leagues. Given the switch hitter, given how good he is from both sides, almost every other great hitter in our league has a mismatch. You go throw, Austin Walker in San Francisco against Aaron Judge or Mike Trout or against a righty. I don't like that matchup, even for Judge being arguably the best player in our game. You know what I mean? But Jose is facing him from the open side.
Right.
That's a mismatch for Jose. So for me, like when I watch this guy, I've been able to watch him have so many at bats. That's as hard of an out, probably the hardest out in the big leagues because of that. He's so good from both sides. So there's no uncomfortable at bats. There's no mismatch. He is the mismatch. And being able to flip you can't bring in a reliever. You got Jose, in the 2 or 3 hole. You can't just bring in a righty or a lefty for that because they're both mismatches. And the energy and the intensity that he plays with every day is, I mean, it's truly incredible. Like, I mean, like I've never been a position player, and I don't know what it's like to play 150 plus games in a season. Like I'm telling you, I catch one game, I'm like, dude, I need a day. I am toast. I am mentally exhausted. And guys like him, guys like Carlos Santana are like, no, I play today. Nope, I play today. Like, I'll let you know if I need a day, and that's never. So I'm going to play today. And guys like that, I mean, it is just, I feel like certain times, I feel like I should be paying money to have my seat in the dugout. Like, I got the best seat in the house to go watch this guy play. I'm like, can I pay someone for this? Like, this is the best seat in the whole stadium. So, I mean, he's a joy to watch. It bothers me that he's still this like underrated player because like, I mean, how do you play for 10 years and have 5 top 5 MVPs and you're underrated? So it's wild to me, but
Right.
I've had the blessing of playing with a lot of great players, and Jose for me is just he's at the top of that list. And the other guy that I think that in a different way that I love me some Corey Seager, man. That guy,
Oh, dude, I was hoping you'd say that. Why? What makes
that
him
guy,
so good, dude?
the slow motor that he has with intensity is what I'm searching for. What I want everyone to search for, that calm, powerful intensity, like which is why he's one of the greatest postseason hitters of all time. And I think that's kind of the thing that sets him apart is yeah, he has MVP caliber regular seasons, but you put Corey Seager in the batter's box in the postseason, and I mean, we're talking about like prime David Ortiz, Derek Jeter, like the same conversation as the greats of all greats in the biggest moments. And that mentality, that poise and control that he has, and how badly he wants it. When you want to win, I'm your best friend. Like, if I can tell you want to win, I'm like, brother, let's go. I am all in. That's all I care about too. And if you got something to teach me about that, I'm just gonna like, I am just all ears. Just teach me, bro. Let's go. Let's go find a way to win. So that's why Corey Seager.
That's so awesome, dude. Man, you saw it in LA. You got a chance to see it with Texas firsthand in 2023. That was incredible. Dude, I have to ask you this because I can't help but to feel it a little bit when I'm talking to you. This has been an unbelievable conversation to really go pull the curtain back and see what's really going on. Any thoughts on managing one day,
Yeah,
bro?
I just want to stay in the game, man. I've made the decision a couple of years ago. I realized like this is what I do. This is a big part of who I am. And
Yeah.
when you not just play the game, when you care about something for so long, it's like this game has given me so much, and all I want to do is stay in it and give back. And some way where I'm in the clubhouse, I love the clubhouse. I love being with the
Yeah.
boys. I love being in the dugout cheering them on in whatever aspect that is. So if that's a coach, a bench coach, a manager, something to be involved. I like spring training. I like the season. I love the playoffs, and I love the off season. It's just
Yeah.
it's the perfect schedule for me as a human. So I'm gonna try
Yeah.
and catch until they tell me I can't anymore. And then when that's done, I just hope I can still put a jersey on in some way and just be a part of it because I truly love this game.
I got a feeling, Hedgie, when it's all said and done, when your career, whatever you decide to, put down the pads and get into coaching, I see a little Bruce Bochy, Stephen Vogt mixture here. That's going to be an incredible manager one day, bro. And the game will be better if Austin Hedges stays in. If you're a lifer like Boch and those guys, man, this
Oh, well,
game will
thank
be
you. I mean,
better because of it,
that's a
dude.
big honor. Those are you mentioned me with Boch and Voter. Those are two of the greatest mentors in my life, and I just if I could be like them when I
Yeah.
grow up, then I did something right.
I love it, man. Hedgie, thank you so much for your time, dude. I know you guys are getting ready to get after with the Orioles today. And please tell Voter I said hello, man. What a great guy is. You're lucky to have played with him. But we appreciate your time, dude, and appreciate all you've given to the game. And
Always a
we'll
pleasure
continue to
talking to
give
you,
to the
Case.
game.
It was awesome, man. Appreciate you.